Right, so good morning, everyone. So we are in week 4 already. All right. Okay, just a quick review. Last week, what we have learned last week. Anyone who want to share? Just a quick review. Anyone?
Database development life cycle.
Very good. Database development life cycle, or DDLC. Good. SDLC, Safia. All right. How many phase do we learn about last week? Roughly after we summarize everything from 11, we make it until how many phase?
7.
7.
7.
Okay, so we have 7 phases, starting with what?
Planning.
Good. Next.
Analysis.
Analysis. Design.
Mm-hmm.
Development.
Development.
Integration and testing.
Good.
Implementation.
Yes, very good.
And lastly,
Maintenance.
maintenance.
Yes. Okay. So hope you understand all the phases. What should you do during every stages? What is the output and how you want to do the things involved in every stages that in the DDLC. Okay. So the other topic is what? Not towards the end of our lecture last week.
Case tools.
Case 2. Okay. How many type of case 2 we have?
2.
2.
3.
3, actually 3. Okay. What is it?
Uppercase, lowercase, integration case.
Yes, very good. So we have 3 type of case 2, uppercase, lowercase, and integrated tools. All right. So this week we will continue our lecture. All right. So this week I will give you one problem case. Okay. That what we use in our class dream home case study. Okay. This one. Okay, you can have my notes inside the UKM folio. I already post in the UKM folio. So this week we will discuss about dream home case study. Okay, we will go through all the stages in our DDLC last week, right? Okay, so this is our objective for today. The first one is about fact finding. Okay, as what we know during the planning phase, we need to know about the case that we are going to solve, the problem and everything. So we need to find the fact about that company, that organization, problem or whatever. So you must know how you want to get to know, how you want to find the problem, find the information. So we need to have the fact finding technique. Okay. And then the type of fact we collect in each stages of our database application lifecycle. Okay, and then the type of documentation produced in each stage of our database application lifecycle. The first one we need to know is the technique, right? The second one we should know is what type of fact we want to collect. Okay, once we have the information, once we have the fact, and then we should know what documents should we produce in the stages, in the stage in our life cycle. Okay, okay. And then we will know about the common use of fact finding technique. There are a few a few technique we can use for fact finding. Okay, and then how to use each fact finding technique and advantage and also the disadvantages of each technique itself. Okay, and then we straight away go to the dream home case study, and then we can have a look what type of document that we need to have, what type of fact we should collect or capture from the organization. And then the last part is how to apply fact finding technique. to the early stages of the database application lifecycle. Okay, that is about objective for this week lecture. Okay, mostly is about the fact-finding technique that we can use when we want to investigate the organization. Okay, all right, fact-finding technique. It is critical to capture the necessary fact to build the required database application. And also, the facts are captured using fact-finding technique. These facts are captured using fact-finding technique. Okay, anyone of you, can you give me how can you capture information? How can you get information from one organization? What technique you can use? Anyone?
Interview.
Interview,
All right, good. Interview.
survey,
Register.
Register. Register what? Register what?
Registration mm, like bank account, I think.
Okay, the form. Is it the form? Is it
Yes,
you?
yes.
So you refer the form registration. So they need to state all the information in the form, right? Okay, good.
Yes.
All right, good. And then interview, we have interview, survey, form, and then any technique?
research,
Sorry?
research,
Research.
and
How you do the research? Can you give me the example?
Google,
Hmm. So maybe you investigate, right? You get to know the company itself. You go Google and find out what it's about, what is the problem, right? Okay, good. So you already know a few technique about collecting information or collecting fact from the organization to get to know the problem involved in that company. Okay, the formal process of using technique such as interview, okay, just now one of you said, okay, interviews, questionnaire to collect fact about the systems, requirements, and also the preference. So this is the formal method that we use to get the fact or to get the information from the organization. Okay, from this technique, we can know about the system, the current system, the flow, the user requirement, and also what is user preference. Okay, based on our finding from this technique, we can have all these system requirement, user requirement, and also the user preference. Okay, fact finding used throughout the database application lifecycle. Okay, actually, it's not only in the planning and analysis phase. Okay, but mostly we use all the fact finding. Okay, throughout our lifecycle, database application lifecycle. Okay, crucial to the early stages, including the database planning, system definition, and requirement collection and analysis stages. But it's very neat to use this technique in the early stage, okay, especially in the database planning phase and also in the
Doctor, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
But do you share
Yes,
the lecture note?
yeah, you can
Like share.
Doctor.
all right, okay. uh, okay, I share again. Okay, maybe lost. Okay, can you see this?
Not yet.
Not yet.
yeah,
All right. Okay. Okay, how about this one?
Not yet.
Oh. Okay. Wait. Okay, I'll try. This one can?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Why I cannot share my slide? It's already in here. Wait. Share. Okay, how about this one? Can?
Not yet. Not yet.
No.
Maybe that you can share the step.
I share already. I open share the tree, and then I already choose the application, the entire screen, and then I share. Just now I can share with you, right?
Maybe it's a network in function. Refresh it.
Sorry?
I think maybe it's a network problem. You can try to refresh it, or we try to refresh it.
Okay, okay. All right. Mm-hmm. Okay, okay. Okay, can you see this one?
Belum.
Oh, okay. So maybe I need to change the to the old laptop. Okay, okay. I will try. Okay, I left now and then I will join later. All right? Please wait. I think there is something wrong dengan I punya laptop ni. Okay, I'm back. Right. Let me try to share from this computer. Okay, can you see this one?
Yeah.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So sorry. Right. All right. Okay, so we continue. Okay, what we stopped just now. All right. When are fact-finding technique used? Okay. As what we know, this fact-finding actually are used throughout every stages in our database application life cycle. Okay, database development life cycle. But it's really needs in early stages, especially in the database planning and also in the analysis stage. Okay. So this enable developer to learn about the terminology, right? The terms involved in the system to find out what is the problem. Okay, you can know the problem based on the finding from your fact finding technique. Okay, maybe from your questionnaire, maybe from the interview. You can know the problem involved in the organization, the opportunities, what can you grab from these opportunities to add on in your system, the constraint, the requirements, and the priority of the organization and the user of the system. That's why this fact finding needs to be done, all right? Needs to be done especially in the early stage, in the database planning phase, and also in the analysis stages. Okay, this is the example of data capture and documentation. Okay, produced during the database application lifecycle. Okay, we have here the phases, all right, the stages, requirement collection and analysis, database design, application design, DBMS selection, and also the prototype. This is the stages, okay? This is the data captured, right? The data captured, you get to know all this information during your investigation, okay? So requirement for user view, about the system specification, including the performance and also the security requirement. Okay, in the database design, we can know about the user response, okay, and also the functionality you want to provide in your DBMS itself. In the application design, you can get the information regarding user response about the interface design. You already have your interface and then you can test to the users and then you can get the information or feedback. Okay, so this is the documentation that you need to produce during every stages. Okay, for example, in the analysis stage, okay, you need to collect or capture the user's view, system specification, and also the performance and also the security requirement. So you need to give a report in the document that what we call user and system requirement spec. Okay, same goes to the other phase such as database design, application design, DBMS selection, and also the prototyping. This row is about the documentation that you need to produce after you do the analysis. That's why the fact finding, okay, the fact finding is used actually in all the stages involved because you need to have this information before you produce this documentation. Okay, it's not only in the planning and analysis, but also in the design, development, and maybe in the testing. Okay, when you do the testing, so you need to have the report, the result from the testing, whether you need to do some adjustment or enhancement, and then you will know from the documentation produced during that stage. Okay, fact finding technique. Okay, we have here, okay, we have here 5 techniques for fact finding. Okay, The first one is examine the documentation. The second one is interview. The third one is observation. Okay. The fourth one is research. And the last one is the questionnaire. So we have 5 techniques here. The first one, examine the documentation. Okay. Let's see what is examine the documentation. Okay. This technique can be useful to gain some insight as to how the needs for the database arose. Normally, we can know about what is the problem from that organization. Where we can get from the examine the documentation. What type of documentation? Okay, maybe we can get from minutes of meeting. After they have done the meeting, maybe general meeting or whatever meeting, so they will state all the problem, all the needs about the system. They will state in the documentation, the minutes of meeting. Okay. The second one, to identify the part of organization associated with the problem. Okay. We can know which department or which organization relate with this problem. So for example, we have a problem with the client. So normally, when we deal with the client, the department involved maybe the sales department. Okay. And then we have to understand the current system. Okay, to understand the current system. Okay, how we want to understand the current system? We can go through the manual of the system. So that is one of the documentation. Okay, we can read from the report. We can have a look from the process involved. So that is where we can do the examine the documentation. Okay, this is the purpose example of type documentation that should be examined, right? So this is the purpose of the documentation. Okay, this is some useful source you can get from. Okay, for example, if you want to describe the problem and needs for your database, where can you find the information? From the document. So this is the source you can use. Maybe they come from the internal memos, the email, minutes of meeting, maybe from the complaint, employee or maybe the customer complaint, and or maybe document that describe the problem, okay, performance review or the reports. This is the source or the document that you can get info regarding the problem and needs for your database. Okay, the next one. If you want to describe the part of the enterprise affected by the problem, okay, you can go through to this documentation. Okay, for example, if you want to know which department involved, so maybe you can get from the organization chart, okay, the mission statement, and also maybe from the strategic plan. So we can know who involved in this problem. So we can know who will be our user for this system. Okay, objective for the part of enterprise being studied also can be examined, right? And then also we can have sample of complete manual form and reports, and then maybe a computerized form and report. Maybe one of you just now said about the form, registration form. It also the needs for examine the documentation. So you can know what info you can get from the customer or your client, right? And if you want to describe the current system, right? Maybe you can go through the flow chart and the diagram involved of the system. About the data dictionary, and then you can know how many table you need to create, how many user, what is the flow, and who can access this table, who can do the manipulation part. Okay, then you can know about the current system. All right. Okay. And then we go to the second technique, interview. Okay, this is most common use and normally most useful fact-finding technique. This can enable collection of information from individual face-to-face interview. Okay. Okay. Objective include fact finding to verify fact, to clarify fact, to generate attitude, getting the end user involved, identify requirement, and gathering idea and opinion. Okay. So why you do the interview? Because of this objective. If you want to verify, is it what you have done is clear enough, so you can interview the user, you can interview your client. Okay, you can get the idea from your client during the interview itself. Right. Okay, this is the advantage and disadvantages of the interview when you do the interview. All right, the first one, advantage. Allow interviewee to respond freely and openly to the question. This is the advantages, because when you interview your client, they can respond without any structured answer. Okay, you didn't give any uh, paper to them. They just can freely talk to you. Okay, that's why they can respond freely to you and openly any question you ask to them. Okay, and then it also can allow interviewee to feel part of the project when they will become one of your interviewee. I think it uh, very pleasure for them, okay, to give the opinion or to give the view from their own, okay. And then from this interview also allow interviewer to follow up on interesting comment made by interviewee. Okay, if you give the questionnaire, when your respondent respond your question, it just stated in the form. You cannot follow up to answer any question based on the answer the answer given from your interviewee. But with the interview, you can quickly ask whatever answer that your interviewee or your client give to you based on your question. Okay, and also the interview allow interviewer to adapt or to reword your question during your interview. Okay, we know in one organization we have many level of people. Okay, many level of people. We have the management level, we have intermediate level, and we have the workers, the normal workers level. So maybe we can reword the question. Maybe when we ask the management, we can use the strategic words, adaptive or whatever words that related to them. But when we ask to the normal workers, we cannot use that special word. So maybe we can reword our question to get the right info from the client itself. Okay, and then the interview also allow interviewer to observe interviewee body language. Okay, you can observe your client during the interview. Okay, how they react with your question. Are they really like with the question, or they try to like that, or you can know by observe their body language. But they also have the disadvantages of the interview. Okay, the first one, very time consuming and costly, and therefore maybe impractical. Okay, why? Because when you want to follow up the question, when you want to observe the body language, maybe it will take time. Okay, it will take time for you. And maybe the interviewee want to have more time to answer your question. So it depends, okay? If you really need to do the interview, so please make sure you have more time, okay? and must be practical. Okay, who can be interviewed and who maybe cannot be to be interviewed. Okay, and then success is dependent on the communication skill of the interviewer. If you are the interviewer, then you don't know how to ask your client, then it will be a problem. You cannot get the info. Maybe your client don't understand what you do, what you ask, and then they don't know what to answer. Okay, success can be dependent also on the willingness of the interviewee to participate in the interview. This also disadvantage during the questionnaire. Okay, not only the interview part. All right. So this is the advantage and disadvantages of interview. Okay. Do you think, or what do you think, which situation that we can use the interview? In which situation? Anyone? What type of purpose you can use this fact finding, this interview technique? When can you want to use this interview? Is it to get to know the organization or the system? When? Anyone?
Maybe during usually interview will be in when we want to enter and apa ni macam satu organisation ke apa ke.
Mm-hmm.
But then of course pihak daripada yang kita nak join tu akan interview kita, adakah kita macam mana kata kita ni compatible dengan dia orang punya qualification ke apa ke.
Okay. Kalau during kita punya DDLC tu, Database Development Life Cycle, so which stages you think yang kita perlu buat interview?
Analysis, I think.
Analysis to get what?
Requirements.
Requirements. So you can ask directly to the user.
Yes, I think.
Maybe, okay? Maybe we can ask the user, good, all right? Maybe we can ask the user, okay, regarding maybe the flow. Is it the current system they use is meet with the flow of their job? Okay, you can ask direct to the user. Okay, you can get the feedback from the user regarding the current system that they use. Okay, that is one place you can use the interview. Or maybe during the testing part. Okay, maybe during the testing part, once your system, your prototype is given to the client to test, and then you can ask them, okay, what should we improve our prototype? So you can interview them, so they can give you briefly, right? Okay, according to the prototype. Okay, that is some place you can use the interview technique when you want to get the information from the organization. But make sure, okay, you can control your time, okay, meaning to say it won't take many long or maybe it won't take your time, okay? So you can handle it, you can handle your client to stop whatever Q&A session or whatever, okay? So that is the interview part. All right. Okay, interview, we have two types of interview. The first one is unstructured. The second one is structured. Okay, open-ended question allow the interviewee to respond in any way that seems appropriate. Okay, open-ended question. Okay, anyone, do you know? Can you give me the example of open-ended question for the interview? Meaning you give your interviewee to answer in anything, maybe a long way or maybe a short way. That is the open-ended. For example, can you tell me, okay, can you tell me the flow, not the flow, okay, your experience dealing with the system. Okay, that is the open-ended question. Okay, maybe some of your interviewee will ask shortly, good, or whatever. But maybe some of them who face the problem with the system will explain more detail. That is the open-ended. Okay, that open-ended is unstructured interview. Okay, you give your client or your respondent to answer in their own way. Okay, that is the open-ended. And then we have the close-ended question, restrict answer to either the specific choice or short or direct response. Okay, we have another way of question that what we call close-ended. Okay, this question you ask to your client, okay, maybe you already have the option of their answer. Okay, maybe you can ask them, okay, how long it takes for you to do this process. So you already have A, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. That is the close-ended question. Okay, if you ask them face to face also, they will answer it whether 1 hour, 2 hour, or 3 hours, or more than that. That is the close-ended question. Okay, compared to the open-ended question, maybe they need to explain more. Okay, so these two type of question you can use in your interview. Maybe you can use only unstructured, or maybe only the structured, or maybe you can combine. Some question you do open-ended, and maybe some of the question for the interview you can use the closed-ended question. But for sure, when you use closed-ended question, you can control your time consuming. Okay, how long it takes, you can control it. But if you use the open-ended question, maybe it will drag to you longer than you expect. Okay, this is the interview. All right, any question for these two techniques? The first one is examine the documentation. The second one is interview. Any question regarding these two techniques so far?
No.
No.
So far,
Okay.
so good, Doctor.
Sorry?
So far, so good.
So far, so good. Always so good. Okay. Okay, we go to the next technique, observation. Okay, observing the organization in operation. Observe. Okay, maybe you can observe the process, you can observe the people, and so on. Okay, this is an effective technique for understanding a system. Okay, you use your own eyes to observe, not from others. Okay, possible to either participate in, or maybe you just watch a person perform activities to learn about the system. That's why I told just now, observe the process, or maybe you observe the person involved in the activities. Okay, useful when to validate of data collected is in question, or when the complexity of certain aspect of the system prevent a clear explanation by the end user. Maybe before this, you already use the examine documentation to get the purpose of the system. You already analyze all the document involved. You have the report from the document examination just now. Okay, you know, okay, this system involve salesperson, HR department, and also the client. Okay, and then when you do the interview, you ask the salesperson, they did that job. But when you ask the HR person, they said that they don't involve in the process. So there will be a confused situation there. So to overcome that situation, that problem, maybe you need to do some observation. Okay, so you observe the process. You observe from the first process, maybe from the client, fill in the form, submit the form, who process it, is it involved directly with the HR, or maybe it just until the salesperson. So by doing the observation, you can know, okay, some aspect or some situation that blur at first when you use those two techniques before. Okay, so it can be possible to help you to get more clear explanation about certain situation. Okay, this is the observation. Okay, this is the advantage and also the disadvantages. Okay, we can have a quick one here. The advantages allow the validity of fact, that data to be checked. Okay, I give you the example just now. Observer can see exactly what is being done because you do it by your own, or maybe you ask your friend in the same group, so you know exactly what has happened. Okay, observer can also obtain data describing the physical environment of the task. Okay, by do some observation, you also can know about the real system happen, how the flow, right? Okay, relatively this is an inexpensive way or technique that you can use. Okay, observer can do work measurement also. Okay, so you can measure how long it takes, how this process can be done, and how long it takes to do this uh, some work in the system. Okay. Okay, this is the disadvantages of doing observation. Okay, people may knowingly or unknowingly perform differently when being observed. Okay, I give you the example. Okay, if you sit for your exam, if I'm sitting next to you, so for sure you will not be uh, maybe you feel uneasy to answer the question if I'm sitting next to you. Same goes to the people in the organization. When they know you are observe them, so maybe their action in doing their work maybe a bit different from the normal. Okay, may miss observing tasks involving different level of difficulty or volume normally experienced during the time period. Okay, and then next disadvantages, some tasks may not always be performed in the manner in which they are observed. Okay, just now I give you the example. If I'm sitting next to you during your exam, so I'm sure you will feel uneasy for answer the question. Okay, and also this observation technique also may be impractical for you to use. Okay, maybe it depends on the situation, or maybe and also it depends on the problem. Some can use observation, but maybe sometimes better you use the interview, or maybe you can use other technique. Okay, this is about the observation. The next one is research. Okay, research useful, okay, to research the application and the problem. Okay, you can use computer. Okay, you can try to Google in the journal, or maybe in the reference book, and also in the internet about your problem. Is it anyone before already faced this type of problem, and how they solve the problem? Maybe they can give you a guide how to solve this problem. Okay, provide information on how others have solved similar problem, plus whether or not software package exists to solve or even partially solve the problem. Okay, from doing the research, you can know maybe they already have a case similar with your problem. So maybe also, okay, they already have the package or the software how to solve this problem. Then you can use this package, or maybe you can create your own package but similar to their package and you can solve the problem. Okay, this is the advantage and disadvantage of using research. Okay, advantage can save time if solution already exists for sure. You can have a look in the journal, in the paper, the conference paper. If they already give you, okay, the answer of your problem, okay, you can use that. You can save your time in finding the solution. Okay, researcher can see how others have solved similar problem or met similar requirement. Keep researcher up to date with the current development. This is the advantage of the research. We also have the disadvantages. Okay, we require access to appropriate source of information and may ultimately not help in solving problem because the problem is not documented elsewhere. Maybe you spend more time in doing your research, but you still cannot find the way to solve your problem. So normally when you do some research, make sure your friends in your team also do different type of technique to get the answer of your problem. Okay. So that is about the research, the fact finding, research fact finding. And the last fact finding technique is questionnaire. Okay. Conduct survey through questionnaire, which are special purpose document that allow fact to be gathered from a large number of people while maintaining some control over their response. Okay, you can use your question in the questionnaire in your interview, but you cannot gather a large number of people to do the interview. If you have a large number of people to get info, you need to use questionnaire, not the interview. Okay, there are two types of question. Okay, free format and fixed format. It almost same with the interview question type, open question and closed question. Okay, this is free format and fixed format. Okay, free format, you can write the answer by your own. Fixed format, you give already the choice, okay, that your user can choose from the answer. Okay, this is the question normally given in the questionnaire. Okay, this is the advantage and disadvantages of the questionnaire. Okay, advantage. People can complete and return questionnaire at their convenience. Okay, nowadays we are using Google questionnaire, Google form and whatever. It's easy for them to return the questionnaire, to do their questionnaire. Okay, relatively inexpensive way to gather that data from a large number of people compared to interview or compared to face-to-face gathering and so on. Questionnaire is more inexpensive way. Okay, people more likely to provide the real fact as response can be kept confidential because normally when we give the questionnaire, we didn't get personal info from our respondent. Okay, so they are, the users or the client are free to give their response, okay, without any fears of what they will be right. Okay, response can be tabulated and analyzed quickly because they already in the your spreadsheet or whatever. You can do the analyze quickly using the questionnaire. Okay, the disadvantages of the questionnaire: number of respondent can be low, possibly maybe only 5% to 10% who will respond. Okay, for example, I give one questionnaire to all FTSM students. Okay, out of almost 800 students, okay, only 200 students participate in that questionnaire. Okay, only quarter, 25% of my student, of all FTSM students respond to the questionnaire. I give the question, the link, okay, to all the students, year 1, year 2, year 3, and year 4, but only 25% respond to the questionnaire. So I cannot get the real picture from my question because only 25% respond to the question. Okay. So this is this is the advantage of the questionnaire. Okay. Questionnaire may be written incomplete. Maybe some of you just tick or fill only a few segment or maybe a few parts, not complete, incomplete. Right. So maybe provide an opportunity, may not provide an opportunity to adapt or to reword questions that have been misinterpreted. Okay, this is the common error done by the person. Okay, even if you write some sentence in the your media social, you write by your own tone. Okay, maybe you said something in a right way, but maybe the user who read that message interpret in different way. So that is the questionnaire. This is where you cannot reword your question, and maybe it can be misinterpreted by your client. Okay. And then questionnaire cannot observe and analyze the respondent body language, of course, because they do it by their own time, their own place. So you cannot see your respondent body language compared to the face-to-face interview.
It's
Okay.
12 o'clock.
All right. Okay. Any question regarding the 5 techniques just now? We have the first one is examine document. The second one, interview. The third one, research. The fourth one is what? The fourth one? Observation. The last one is questionnaire. Any question?
Doctor,
Yes.
I have a question for the disadvantages in the observation, but
Okay.
can you go to that slide?
Okay, sure can. Is it this one?
Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
don't quite understand the statement in the disadvantage where it said may miss observing stars involving different levels of difficulty or volume normally experienced during that time period.
Okay. May miss observing tasks involve different level of difficulty or volume normally experienced during the time period. Okay, I give you one example. If you go to the bank, end
Mm-hmm.
of the month, okay, end of the month, compared to middle of the month,
Okay.
okay, you can see end of the month, there will be a lot of people dealing with the counter and so on, dealing with the cashier, okay, but maybe in the middle of the month, maybe some people, not too many people dealing with the cashier. So you don't know exactly what is the volume number of people using the system because
Oh,
they may be different at certain time.
oh,
Okay.
okay, doctor.
So if you want to do the observation, you must do it in 1 month straight from the first until the 31st of month. So you can know how many people dealing with the system. Okay? Alright, is it okay?
Okay, doctor.
Alright, good. Thank you. Anyone else? Any question? Okay, if you don't have question, I will ask you a question. Right. So, which when can we use observation actually? Anyone can answer my question. When can you use observation in our database development life cycle? When is the appropriate time to use observation? Anyone?
Maybe when you want to see how the employees key in their data, since you gotta go through a computer, you gotta see if they understand the interface, for example. Like, do they know where to see where is it convenient for them?
Aha, good. Good, good. And then you can see what the users need, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you can understand what user interface you can provide to them throughout the observation. Good. Very good. Okay, the next question. When can you use questionnaire in the DDLC?
After you implement something, you can use a questionnaire to collect any feedback you can get from the users, so you can maybe make some improvements or receive any complaints or any suggestions.
Right, very good. Okay, you can get information, the feedback from the user using the questionnaire. Okay, how about if you want to know the problem of the system, what technique you can use? I give you the situation, you want to know the problem of the system. So what technique you can use? How you want to get to know? Which technique you want to use? Anyone?
I can only think about interview because it's the most active way to approach rather than the passive way of questionnaire and observation.
Yeah, you can get from the interview, but before you go to the interview, make sure you have the document. You examine the document before. Okay, examine the problem. Maybe the customer complain, the client complain, or whatever. Get to know the basic info before you do the interview. Actually, both are the best technique to get to know with the problem in the to get to know the problem involved in your system. Okay, good try. Well done. All right. Okay. So we go to the next one. Okay, I give you the example since we already cover all the 5 techniques just now until the questionnaire. Now we have a look for this form. This is the staff registration form for the Dream Home company. We have staff registration form. We have here staff number, full name, position, branch number, which this staff will be located. And this is the detail about the staff. This is the manager. Okay, Susan is a manager. Start from 1st June. This is the bonus for the manager. And this is the salary for the manager. Okay, this is the staff registration form. Okay, this is the staff listing. Okay, actually this is the report, not the form. Okay, this is type of report. Okay, you want to know which staff who are located in the B003. Okay, so you can ask from the system, or maybe manual, you can ask from the staff to list all the staff who works in the B003. Okay, these are SG5, 14, 37, 112, 126, and 132 who works in the B003. And you know B003 located in Glasgow, and this is the phone number. And here we have the position who works in the B003. We have 1 manager, we have 2 supervisor, and we have 3 assistant. Okay, this is the list of staff who works in B003. Okay, next we have another form. We have property registration form. Here, the detail about the property number. This is given by the dream home. Okay, what type of the property? Is it flat, terrace, or maybe a bungalow. And then how many rooms in that house, in that property? 4. And then this is the rental price, 450. And this is the address for that property. Okay, this is the detail about the property. Next column will be the detail about the owner of the property. Okay, owner number given by Dream Home. Okay, this is the name of the owner, person or business name, Tony. And this is the address of the owner and also the telephone number. Okay, if they involve in the business or whatever, they can have more detail here. Okay, this property registered in 163 Main Street, Glasgow. We only have the address of the branch here. And we also have the staff who process this registration. But we don't know which branch actually these property are registered. We only know the branch. Okay. Next, we have the client registration form. We have the client name here. And then we have also the property requirement. Actually, the user requirement, what type of property they need. The Mike needs, okay, he need flat and the maximum rental price is 750. Okay, this client, okay, Mike, register at branch B003. And this is the address that Mike registered, okay, in which branch, the branch that he registered. And he was entertained by Anne at 16th of November. This is the client registration form. Okay, and this one is actually a report, okay, property listing for week beginning 1st June. Okay, where this report generated by 163 Glasgow, Main Street of Glasgow. Okay, actually this is B003 also. Okay, this is the list of the property listing for the week beginning from the 1st June. Okay, we have PG4, PG36, 21, and so on. Okay, this is the report generated from the B003 regarding the property listing for certain time. Okay, this is also another report, property viewing. Who view this property? Okay, so for example, PG4, we want to know who has viewed this property. Okay, so you need, from this system, you need to generate this type of report. Okay, PG4 is a flat with rental price 350, okay, located in Glasgow. Okay, we have 4 clients who view this property. Is there any comment from the client? Yes, 2 comment about this property, which is John and also the Mary Frigger. Okay, John comment 2 remote and the Mary comment okay, but needs redecoration throughout. Another 2 without any comment for the PG4. Okay, why we need to have this type of report? Maybe in terms of improvement, for home improvement or whatever. Maybe we can have a look from the comment that given from our client, right? And then we also have here another form, Dream Home list. Okay, we have this list between this client and this property. Okay, this agreement between this client and this property. Who is the client? CR74 Mike, with the property in PG16, located in Glasgow. What is the detail about this list? Okay, this is the detail. The monthly rental price 450, payment method by check. Have Mike pay for the deposit? Yes. Okay, when it started 1st June and finished in 31st of May, duration is 1 year. This is an example of a lease form, okay, or agreement form between the client and also the property. Okay, so this is an example of form and also the report that actually we need to have at the early stages to make us understand what is actually the problem and who are involved in our system. So if you can analyze from this form, okay, from the staff registration, staff listing, property, client registration, listing, viewing report, and the list, okay, roughly, how many users involved in this system? Based on this form, how many users involved? Or maybe you can name who involved in this system. Just name the position or the role of the user. Not the name of the client, but the name of the role in the system. You have one client, okay, and then another one. How many user in your system? In this dream home case.
Only one, I think.
Sorry? Can you repeat your answer?
I think only one, doctor.
Only one, the client.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doctor, can I check again? Is it for only this form or does it include the previous forms we just
All the form.
also?
Oh, all the
All,
form.
all forms.
Yes,
Yeah,
all
like
the
they also have staff. I know
okay.
they also have staff.
All right, good. So we have client, we have staff, and then any other user involved in this case. Okay.
Admin.
Admin. Admin. Who is the admin? The workers, right?
Yes.
Okay, good try. Okay, any other person who involved in this system? Okay, we have here the staff registration form. And then we have the staff listing here. And next we have the property registration. Okay. And then we also have the client registration. And then we have the property listing. And also we have the report for the property reviewing. And also the list detail about the case. Okay. So we have client, we have staff, maybe other, we have admin. Okay, I can say admin actually is a staff, right?
Also, manager, supervisor, assistant, also staff, right?
Yes, good.
Mm.
Manager, assistant, supervisor is also a staff. Okay. Other than that, anything here come from here?
This one, there's the owner who registers their property for rent.
Yes, the owner, property owner. Property owner. So we can have here, we have actually three main user. We have client who ask for the property. We have staff who manage the property. And then we have property owner who offer the property, right? Okay. So now you know, in this case, we actually dealing with three type of user. One, client, and then next is staff, and also the next one is the property owner. And then we need to generate a few types of report, property listing, staff listing, maybe client listing, and also the comment, and so on. Okay, from the system. So that is you need to jot down the important report that you need to generate from the system. Okay, once you identify the briefly about your problem, and then you need to state your mission statement. Okay, last week we already discussed about the mission statement and objective statement. Okay, this is the example of mission statement for our case, Dream Home database system. Okay, the mission statement for this one is, okay, the purpose of Dream Home database system is to maintain the data that is used and generate to support the property rental business for our client and property owner, and to facilitate the cooperation and sharing the information between branches. Okay, just now we identify from the form given to us just now, we can identify we have 3 users for our system. That's why we stated here, okay, you can see here, to support the property rental business for our client and property owner. So we have 2 users here, client and property owner. And then to facilitate the cooperation and sharing of information between branches. Between branches refer to staff. So we have one mission statement here to describe what is our mission statement. So we want to create one database system that can to maintain the data that is used and generate to support the property rental business. For whom? For client, for property owner, and also for the staff itself. This is one mission statement. So how you get this mission statement? You get from analysis, the form given to you. Okay, from the technique of examining the document. Okay, just now we just examined the report and also the form given to us. So we can state the statement here. And then we can plan for our mission objective. Okay, this is the detail part. Okay, you cannot have every detail of this mission objective without doing the more analysis in your analysis stage. Okay, for example here, to maintain data on branch, staff, property for rent, and so on. To perform a search. Actually, we have here 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 objectives. To maintain data regarding branch, staff, property owner, client, viewing, list, and also the advertisement. And then the second one, to perform search on branch, staff, property owner, and so on. The third one, to track the status of the property, of the client, and also of the lease. The fourth one, the fourth objective is to report on branch, staff, and so on. Okay, this is the mission objective of your system. How you generate this mission objective? Based on your mission statement, you define every single function or needs from all those client here. We have client, property owner, and also the staff. So that's why we have about the staff, property, and also about the client. Right? So that is the mission objective. When you settle your mission statement and then so you identify the mission objective, then yet you can do the system boundary. Okay, system boundary actually is a scope of your project. Right. So, you know, in Dream Home organization, they have a few department. We have here marketing, payroll, rental, staff, customer service, advertising, human resource, and also the sales. So you make sure which department who is involved in your system. Make it a boundary. Actually, who is the user of your system? Okay, for example here, we're dealing with the salesperson who manage the rental, who manage the advertising, and also who do the marketing, and also involve the staff who are dealing with the payroll and also the customer service. So all this stuff dealing with the human resource. Okay, create the boundary and show who actually involved in your system. All right. Next, after you have your system boundary, you identify who the user view of your system. The user view or user needs for your system. Okay. For example, here. Okay, all branch. This is the type of access. Okay, who need to maintain, who need to query or manipulate, who need a report, and so on. So you identify the role of the staff itself. The manager need to query about the branch, need a report about the branch. And also the director also needs the query and report about the staff, about the property, about the owner, and so on. The director no needs to view or no needs info about the viewing. Only the supervisor and the assistant needs info regarding viewing or the comment from the client. So you can do this type of analysis. Okay, maybe you can have based on the user or the client involved here and the function on the left side. So you can map whether this module or this branch, this module or this operation used by who based on your client. All right. Okay, this is the summarize from the table. Okay. All right. I think that's all for the first and the second phase from the database planning and also the database analysis. Any question until here? Any question?
So far, no, doctor.
So far, no. Okay. So for your project, I believe you already have your title, right?
Yes.
Okay. Most of you are dealing with the e-commerce. I think yeah. You have the Lazada, you have Grab Food, Food Panda, and so on. Okay. So make sure you do all these type of analysis. Okay. Get to know what is the problem, what is the mission statement of that organization or that system, and maybe you can have a list of mission objective of the system itself, and then find out what is the boundary of the system itself, and then you can do the design phase, and then you can go to the design phase. The design phase include the conceptual, logical, and physical design modeling. Okay, right. Any question? So far so good.
So far, I'm okay.
Okay, good. All right. So can I show you? Okay, the next one. Oh, all right. This is the notes I take from this computer, my old computer. The new one I already give to you in the UKM folio. I just give a brief about the entity relationship diagram. Okay, you also have this one in your UKM folio, right? Before this, we already know how to do the database planning process. Please make sure you understand what is the mission statement, mission objective, the system boundary, how to want to get the problem statement, where you can get all those information. You must do the fact finding. Okay. Next one is about data modeling. This is involved in the third stage, which is database design. Okay. So in the database design, for sure you need to generate data model. Okay. We have 3 type of data model. Okay. In the first week, in the second week during the database architecture, I already explained about the layer in the architecture. We have 3 tier of architecture, 3 level architecture. Okay, we have external, we have conceptual, and we have the internal layer. So every layer have their own schema, and we do the mapping to provide the data independence. Okay, the output of the modeling is come from every layer. Okay. Okay. In this case, okay, the most high level type of data model is actually in the conceptual data model. The second one is logical data model. And the third one is the physical data model. You can see from this table, okay, this is the features you need to provide in your data model. And then this is the level of data model. We have 3 level of data model: conceptual, logical, and physical. Okay, the conceptual is the highest one. Okay, since this is the highest one, we just provide a brief information about our data model. We just give the entity name and also the entity relationship in the diagram. This is the diagram of conceptual data model. Okay, the second one is a logical data model. Okay, you can see here the logical data model. In the logical data model, you need to provide info regarding entity names, entity relationship, attributes, primary key, and also the foreign key. Okay, you just need to have one ER diagram, complete ER diagram. So, meaning to say, your ER diagram is the output of the logical data model. Okay, the next one, what you need to do is the physical data model. This is more detailed. Okay, this is more detailed. In the physical data model, you need to provide the detail about the primary keys, the foreign keys, the table name. Okay, the table name is actually the table you create to store your data. And then you have the column name. Okay, actually the column name actually is the attribute, referring to attribute. Okay, and then the most important is the column data type. Okay, if you have this type of detail, this is what we call physical data model. Okay, I give you the example here. Okay, if you want to more detail, you can go to this link, right? Here about the definition of data model, entity relationship modeling, and also the EER modeling. Okay, so this is the example of the data model. So we have the external level. This is the type info you provide. This is the conceptual, and this is the internal level. And also here you can have a look the schema and also the level, and this is the user interface, the logical record interface, stop record interface, and physical record interface. Okay, this is the OS and this is the DBMS. Okay, you can have here the external schema, logical schema, and also the internal schema, and all these schema must be mapping to each other, external with external with the logical with internal. Internal with conceptual with the external, not the logical schema. This is a logical mapping and this is the physical mapping. All right? There is something wrong here in the box. Okay? And then this is the detail about what is the conceptual data model, right? The entity relationship model established a broad view of what should be included in the model set. This is what we call the conceptual data model, include entity and just the relationship between the entity. Okay, you don't need to specify about the attribute, and you don't need also to specify about the primary key or even the foreign key. This is the detail about the logical data model. Okay, in the data logical model, you draw the ER diagram, include entity, relationship, the attribute, the primary key, and also the foreign key. Okay, to show the relationship between those. And this one, the physical data model, you need to specify all the table and the column involved in your database. Okay, what is your table name? What is column or attribute? Or maybe you some books use field, not column. Field or column is the same, right? So what is attribute involved in the table? And also you need to have the foreign key to identify the relationship between table. Okay, any one of you know what is the foreign key actually? Anyone? Have you heard about the foreign key, primary key?
Only heard about primary key, doctor, not foreign
Okay,
key.
you only know about the primary key. What is the primary key actually?
It's like a data type that that's special, like
Unique.
ID. Yeah, unique.
Unique, good. Okay. Your data which can represent the whole row or the whole data. Okay. For example, okay, for a primary key is the attribute that you use to identify your record. That data must be a unique, meaning to say cannot be same with other record or maybe cannot be same with other attribute. Okay, that is the primary key. Okay, so normally primary key will be used as a key to identify any data in your table. Okay, while the foreign key actually is the primary key from other table that used in other table. Okay, for example, we have student table. What is the primary key for student?
Metric
Metric
number.
number.
Metric number. Okay.
Number.
Okay, good. Metric number. Why don't you use your IC number for your primary key as a student?
Because metric number represent more like it represent our students number, like
Yes,
it's
very,
related to the database of our faculty.
yes, very good. Okay, we can use IC number, but in our case, okay, in the university system, we every student has their own metric number, which is unique to identify them. So we need to use the metric number as a primary key. Okay, so IC number, right? Uh, also is a unique, right? Cannot be same with other people. Okay, so IC number, we call it as a candidate. Okay, also a unique, but we don't use as a primary key. So whatever attribute which are unique, we call it as a candidate key. Right? Please note. Right? What is the candidate key? Candidate key is a attribute. The features of the candidate key is it must be a unique, but it not be used as a primary key. Okay, primary key actually is a candidate key that we choose to be a identify for our record, then we call it as a primary key. Okay, for the student, we use metric number as a primary key. Okay, we have another table. Okay, we have another table. We have course table. We have course ID, we have course name, we have course lecturer ID, we have course detail and so on. So what is the primary key for the course table?
Course ID.
Course ID. Because course ID is a unique. You cannot find the same ID course between any other courses offered in the university, right? So course ID will be your primary key. Okay. Is there any relationship between student and course?
Yes.
Yes.
So what is the relationship?
Subject.
Student, what? Course.
One student
Register.
can take one course.
Okay. Student register a course, right? The relationship is register. So in the table of student, you have one entity of student. Okay, you have one entity of student, and then you have another entity which is a course. Student with a relationship of register. Student register a course. So student and course has a relationship. So you need to have, okay, you need to have course ID in the student table. Why? Because you need to link student with the course. So you need to have course ID in the student table. So course ID in the student table will be a foreign key, because actually it's not the detail about the student. It's just a key to link with the course table. That's what we call foreign key. Okay, can you get the foreign key?
Yes.
So what is the foreign key? In your own way.
Foreign
Your own
foreign
word.
key is others primary keys that are in another table. Maksudnya
Okay.
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 Maksudnya okay.
Maksudnya contohlah ada dua table, table student dengan table subjek. Foreign key untuk foreign key dekat dalam table student kod subjek. Kalau foreign key untuk table subjek is student ID.
Okay.
Betul tak?
Betul. Okay.
Okay.
Means dia
But-
boleh link doktor?
Yes, untuk bolehkan to make those entity to have a link. Kalau tak boleh. Alright. Foreign key only has in the entity who has a relationship with another entity. Alright. Boleh tak ni?
Boleh.
Boleh. Alright. Okay. So that is briefly. Next week I will explain more on the primary key and the foreign key in detail. This is just the brief info lah for you about the foreign key, primary key, and so on. Right? So this is the concept of ER model. Okay, we have entity. Just now I told you about entity, relationship, the keys, primary key and the foreign key. And what is entity actually? Entity, we have three type of entity. Okay, we have strong entity, weak entity, and also the associate entity. Okay, we have strong entity. Strong entity exists independently from other entity type. They always pose one or more attribute that uniquely distinguish its occurrence of the entity. Okay, this is the permanent entity. Okay, in other words, the strong entity is the permanent entity. Okay. Weak entity depends on some other entity type. They don't pose unique attribute, okay, and have no meaning in the diagram without depending on another entity. This other entity is known as the owner. So normally, weak entity belong to the strong entity. It just appear when any certain preference or certain needs appear, then this weak entity will appear in the ER diagram. This is not the permanent. Okay. The next one, we have associate entity. Okay, associate entity are entity that associate the instance of one or more entity type. They also contain attributes that are unique to the relationship between those entity instance. Okay, this associate entity at first it just a relationship. Okay, one entity with another entity with a relationship. Okay, for example, just now I told about student and the course. Student register a course. So student can register one to many course, right? And each course can be registered by one to many students also. So meaning to say that relationship is a many to many relationship. Many students can register many courses, right? So the relationship between the student and the course can be a associate entity. Normally, associate entity will appear, okay, associate entity is used to create many to many relationship between the different entities. Next week, I will explain in detail about this one, right? So please make sure you read my notes before you come to my class next week, okay? I will explain about how one relationship can become one entity, okay, what we call associate entity. Okay, and then we have relationship type. We have one to many, many to many, many to one, and so on. Okay, this is the degree of relationship. We have binary, ternary, and quaternary actually, and n-ary. Okay, you can have a look first. Next week, I will explain in detail. This is just an overview about the ER diagram. And then please make sure you read my notes, this note and also the other one. Okay, week 4 and week 5, I already post in the UKM folio. Please understand. Then next week, we can discuss about the ER diagram. Okay, and then this is type of attribute. Okay, just now, you understand about the primary key, and then you know about the foreign key and also about the candidate key. That is the key. This is about the attribute. In attribute, we have many type of attribute. We have simple attribute, we have composite attribute, we have uh, single value attribute, multi-value attribute, and so on. Okay, you can get more detail in my notes, or maybe you can browse in the internet to get more detail about the type of attributes. Okay, okay, this is the physical ERD symbol. We have table, field, key, and types. Okay, we know in the in the physical data model, we need to have table, field, okay, field or the column, the keys, and also the types. Okay, this is the key. Key, we have super key, candidate key, primary key, and so on. Many keys. Right. Okay, this is the notation for your diagram, for the ER diagram. we have here Chan notation with the box and the diamond box for the relationship. And N and the number 1 is the cardinality. This is how you show many to one relationship for the N notation. Okay, so this is idefix, person, entity in the box, location in the box. This is the entity, and this is the relationship. Okay, the dotted line meaning the weak relationship. Okay, this is the 0, and this is the many. Okay, and this one also, this is Batman, person and location. This is how they draw the ER diagram. Okay, in our class, right, I will use UML notation, this type of notation. Please make sure for your project, for your tutorial, for your lab, and also for your final exam, please make sure you use UML notation for your answer. Okay, I just mark for those who answer my question using the UML notation. Okay, but you must know also, you still need to know about the Chan, idefix, Batman, and so on. This is the some organization use this type of notation. But in my class, I'm using the UML notation. This is the example of Chan notation, the Crawford notation. This is the example of Crawford conceptual model. And this is the UML and so on. Right? Okay. So you can go to the detail for the reference I give here to read by your own regarding the diagram, the data model, and so on. Okay, any question? I hope you have the idea what is the ER diagram, how you want to draw your ER diagram, what is the entity, what is the relationship, what is the attribute, what is the key. Okay. All right. Any question so far?
So far, so good, Doctor.
So far, so good. Alhamdulillah. Okay, if you have any question, you can ask me direct to me, or maybe you can ask your tutor. Okay, and this week we will have a lab session. Okay, please make sure you join your lab session according to your program, your own tutor. So how about your project? Any question regarding your project? Is it okay with the title?
Not started yet. Tak mula lagi.
Tak boleh lagi? Last week tak dapat?
Dah dapat tajuk tapi belum start buat.
Doctor, there are a lot more projects also in going, so very tired,
Okay.
doctor.
Alright, but please make sure lah. Okay, you must do
Yes,
it.
yes, we will do it.
Okay, because I think next week will be the submission, right?
Yes, I think.
Okay. Please check with my teaching planning. When did you submit your project? And this week should be your first quiz, right?
Yeah, there will be quiz.
Yes.
So maybe is it okay? I give you at night the quiz because I'm sure you have a different time of class. I have 200 more students, so I cannot have one slot time for
Yes,
everybody.
yes, night is okay, doctor.
Night, okay, yeah.
But for Muslim maybe Tarawih.
Oh yeah.
Here at Nanjung, the Tarawih sometimes finish around 10.
Betul. Tonight start Tarawih, yeah. Okay. Okay, Friday afternoon, do you have any class?
No,
Uh,
doctor.
Friday
No,
afternoon, is
Friday
it
afternoon.
after 2?
Yes, after Jumaat prayer.
Oh, yeah, free.
Free, yeah? Okay, maybe this.
But Doctor,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
we do have SIG meetings and stuff.
What time normally?
Normally on 2 until 5.
2 until 5.
Yes.
Do you cook for your iftar?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Maybe I will give just 1 hour for 1 hour for 20 to 25 questions MCQ online. So what time you prefer? Okay. Next week during our lecture, so I will finish my lecture early, maybe around 12:30. Is it okay? And then 12:30 we can start the quiz. I'm sure you can finish it by 15 to 20 minutes.
I think it's fine, Doctor.
Okay?
It's fine, maybe.
All right. So we will have our first quiz next week during our lecture time. I will finish my lecture by 12:30 and then we will have our first quiz after that. I think in half an hour you can finish the question. Okay?
Okay.
Alright.
Okay.
Ya, doktor.
So banyak sangat nanti kan terawih lah apa semua. Alright. So I think that's all. We have another 5 minutes before I end my class. Any question regarding today's lecture?
Maybe no.
Maybe no. Okay, if you have any question, you can ask me in the Teams or maybe you can ask your tutor during your tutorial session or lab session also. Okay, feel free to ask us. Okay?
Sorry, Doctor.
Yes.
For quiz, could we have more time, such as 1 hour? I guess half hour is a little difficult for international student.
Okay. I will give 45 minutes. Is it okay?
Okay.
All right. So I will on the quiz starting from 12:30 until 1:15.
Okay, thank you, Doctor.
All right, welcome. Okay, nanti I check the chat. The site.
Doctor,
Yes.
do we have classes this afternoon?
This afternoon, do you have a lab session today or just a tutorial session?
Tutorial.
Tutorial. No tutorial, only lab session this week.
Okay. Thank you, Doctor.
All right. Okay. All right. I think that's all for today. Hope to see you next week. Okay, I'll stop the recording first. Okay. So hope to